to make another video about something controversial because I apparently subsist on internet drama. Hot take about nerdcore artist, check. Political commentary and coming after the Dream SMP, check for both in one video. What's left? Holy crap. Literally. Guess who's back? Back again, beautiful people. Shady's back. Bring a friend. I've already masterfully destroyed Kyle Island music and the entire concept of anarchy in 2 short video essays, so the obvious next target is the Christian Church. Okay, most of that prior sentence was completely satirical, and while I will be playing into the fedora-wearing, God-hating internet atheist personality, when else would I get a chance to wear my actual fedora, I want to first set out some guidelines and disclaimers for keeping this interaction respectful. If you don't care about rigorous rules for intellectual interaction, you can skip to this timestamp to get straight to my response. I will be responding to Redeemed Zoomer's 3 different questions for atheist video, which it's a bit old, but I only just saw it. And aside from incoherent beliefs on the thumbnail, I think it presents a very interesting and questioning perspective on the concept of atheism. Here are the rules I will be attempting to follow for my response. First off, follow the tenets of good debate. I will do my absolute best to avoid making logical fallacies, and if one slips into the script because I missed it or thought it was too funny to pass up, then please cut me a bit of slack. Secondly, I want to follow my personal code for interacting with people I disagree with, and I think it would be best if everyone else on both sides of this interaction did as well. In short, it boils down to this. When interacting with somebody you disagree with, seek not to convince, but to understand. RZ, as I'm gonna call him, Redeemed Zoomer, RZ, believes what he believes, and so do I. Changing someone's viewpoint, especially somebody that's put so much work into expressing their faith, his whole channel is Christian stuff, which I'm not hating on. I love theology, is super duper interesting to me. But yeah, changing someone's faith involves a lot of self-searching in a way that an internet debate will not at all affect. I don't want to show him why I think he's wrong. I want to understand why he thinks he's right. The third tenet is this. I do not represent any organization or group of people. Unlike Christians, us atheists are not governed by a single central authority, which kind of makes us anarchic. Oh no. Someone in charge, because become the very thing I swore to destroy. And even Christians have an insane amount of diversity in their beliefs. Now, apply that to a non-theistic group that has no consistency or churches, and understand that everybody has a different interpretation of religious matters. If you, as an atheist or theist, disagree with me, feel free to make another response video so we can start a chain, or just leave a comment on this one. I know this was an inane ramble, so without further ado, I'd like to start the video. Also, I'll be cutting in all the relevant bits from RZ's video, so all you Gen Z gremlins with withered attention glands don't have to watch 2 whole videos to get all the relevant context. I say that as a Gen Zer. It's okay if I make the joke.
I'm defining an atheist as someone who does not believe in God or any sort of supernatural, like, human soul or something.
I watched this and already realized that since I believe in a human soul, I don't technically qualify as his definition of an atheist. Although, the definition of a soul is also a whole nother can of worms that's up for debate.
The first question that they really can't answer is, why is human life worth more than an animal life? We know that human life is superior to animal life. Human life was set apart in the Garden of Eden. Regardless of how literally you take that story, the Bible is very clear that human life is set apart and superior in some sense to animal life. Because we believe in the human soul, we believe that humans are inherently superior to animals. Most atheists I know would still say that it's worse to kill a human than to kill a fly. But why? First answer they'll give, the most obvious one, is, oh, because humans are more intelligent. But there's problems with that. First of all, if intelligence is what determines the value of a life, then is a smart person's life worth more than a dumb person? The kid in my class who always got A+ on tests, is his life worth more than mine because I was more of a A-, B+ sort of student?
Here, how about this? As an atheist, I believe that humans have some sort of weird essential, as in of the essence, not necessary, goop that makes us uniquely able to comprehend and understand the world around us on a level unparalleled by any other living creature. I mean, that part has to be true. It's demonstrable throughout history by members of every political and religious faction that humans are somehow a level above every other living creature. This can be summarized as more intelligent, but like RZ said, maybe with a bit of a slippery slope he was there, that doesn't really work. There's a spiritual aspect to the consciousness as well. If it were as simple as brain size or brain proportion or intelligence, whatever that means, biologists and neurologists would have figured out exactly what makes us different a long time ago. Where Christians and I differ is that I don't believe this aspect of a higher consciousness, paraphrased as a soul, is divinely inspired. I also want to take a second to talk about the no moral code assumption. I think a lot of Christians is, speaking generally here, if it doesn't apply to you, sorry, that's kind of what you get. I think a lot of Christians' moral and ethical framework is built on what God says, what the Bible states. That is how they see the world in terms of good and evil. And it makes them hard to understand a moral code existing in any other context. I'm not trying to be demeaning or go like, they don't understand right and wrong when it doesn't come from the Bible, but I genuinely think that if their idea of this thing is inherently linked with the Word of God, then obviously the people that have no Word of God cannot have this other thing, which in this case is morality. There's a kind of logic to it. Their ideas of good and evil stem from divine word, capital D, and without that divinity, again, capital D, there can be no morality. However, atheists can obviously still have a moral code. If they couldn't, there would be a lot more atheistic psychopaths out there. Using the definition of psychopath is not just as the general colloquial psychopath, but as I've often heard it described as psychopaths and sociopaths are amoral, not immoral. They lack morals, and in a society so built on what is right and wrong, that makes them wrong. So if atheists lacked morals, they would kind of fall into the boat with psychopaths and sociopaths, but I don't want to make any blanket statements about mental health, something about which I know little, so please don't take me seriously. Alright, sorry, future Finn here. While editing this, I realized that he was saying that atheists do comprehend God's moral code, we just don't acknowledge that it was God who gave it to us. I disagree, but to avoid going on a vaguely nihilistic tangent, I'll move on. Just for now, remember that atheists are able to find meaning and morality even in a universe without God. And if RZ ever wants to hear my justification for that, hit me up with another response video or a comment.
Another question is, like, an adult pig has a higher intelligence, like a higher IQ than a newborn baby. But obviously, killing a pig is legal and killing a newborn baby is not. And if they're going to say it's because of what the baby's going to turn into, then they should be pro-life, which they're usually not.
Here, I've already shown how atheists can value human rights, and while I will not say anything on abortion here, I have reasoning for that as well. I just really don't feel like talking about something this hot-button controversial in a public YouTube video. You really want to hear it? Join my Discord. That's probably the best plug I've ever done. Join my fan Discord server to hear my views on abortion, and remember to hit that like and subscribe and join my Patreon with the links down below. Oh my god. I'm going to hell.
So they really can't explain why humans have any inherent worth at all. And that's why the most genocidal regimes in history were atheistic. Because if there's no inherent, like, human value, no inherent human essence, so to speak, then human value is determined by how useful it is. And that's why, say, if you're Stalin and if you're a communist, then you think human life is only valuable if it contributes to the utopia you're trying to build, for example. So it's very dangerous to not boldly assert that human life has inherent worth. It's very dangerous.
I don't want to what about RZ, but this remark rubbed me the wrong way. And I just wanted to point out that glancing at any European history book will show you how nasty and vile many Christian regimes have been throughout history. I hate proving Godwin's law correct, but I kind of feel the need to address the elephant in the room. The toothbrush mustache guy was Catholic, in word, if not in deed. I have, like, a Christian friend who devoutly maintains that he was not Catholic, but if you look at the semantics, he generally subscribed to Catholicism, even if it was really, really, really messed up. It's probably a fair argument to say that since RZ is Presbyterian, which I used to be as well, fun fact, and does not share a denomination with everyone's least favorite Austrian painter, those regimes don't apply to him. Fair enough, I say, and by that logic, I'm neither a Nazi or a communist, so his examples of atheists. Wow, I said that by mistake, but that is genuinely gold. Atheists don't apply to me either. We'll both probably be better off avoiding historical examples when it comes to pointing out the flaws in somebody's beliefs.
Next question that atheists really can't answer is why should humans care about the environment? Now, atheists are often very environmentalist. I think in America, at least, atheists are much more likely than Christians to be talking about climate change. And I'm not here to say climate change isn't real. I don't think it's going to destroy the world. I think it's going to have bad impacts that is going to make life harder for people, and if we're Christians, we should care about that. But I think in a Christian worldview, it's a lot more consistent to care about the environment than an atheist one.
Question 2 is kind of a variant of question 1. These are all similar. So I'll redux it real quick. One can have a moral framework without God, because all meaning in a purely meaningless universe is derived by us, and therefore is the most meaningful thing out there. Also, our brains are wired so they give us sad chemicals if we do something bad. Our only responsibility is to ourselves and the collective unconscious, but that doesn't mean we aren't responsible. I mean, you might not be, random atheistic viewer who began typing up an angry comment, but I certainly feel like I am.
Like in the forest by my house, it's infested with deer, and deer are terrible for the environment when they overpopulate because they eat all the saplings and then new trees can't grow. So the deer are very bad for the environment, but they have no responsibility. They're not self-conscious about what they're doing for the environment, and even if you could somehow communicate it to them, they wouldn't care.
Hey, editing Finn here. I didn't catch this bit while I was writing the script, so I'm just going to pop in and address it off script. So if this is a little more disconnected than usual, that's why I'm not going off of a piece of paper. I think you kind of answered your own question here by saying that the deer are not self-aware. They don't care. They don't feel like they have any responsibility. But again, tying back to that whole, level of the difference from the first question, and I don't know if this renders me non-atheistic and, an invalid target for this video, because I believe that humans are just above other animals because of stuff I explained earlier, but that's kind of what I'm pulling from here. Deer are not self-aware. They don't know what they are doing, but we do. We are all too painfully aware, and I think that grants us an extra level of responsibility above those. And again, if you want to dig deeper into that, I explain it in the first question, and if you want to hear about why I think that, again, leave a comment so I can make a follow-up video explaining nihilistic meaning.
Really, any moral claims imply that there's a moral lawgiver, because since we all disagree on what's right and wrong, but we still all know that there is such a thing as right and wrong, we just disagree on the specifics, there needs to be someone to officially set the rules. That's why the moral argument for God it's a good argument. The only defense atheists can give is maybe objective morality doesn't exist. So the moral argument doesn't prove God exists, it just proves that morals can't exist if God doesn't exist. And basically every atheist philosopher I've ever read has admitted this. Has admitted that you can't have objective morality with God, we just need to do our best with subjective morality. And we see how subjective morality goes in, basically every atheist regime.
We've seen how objective morality goes in every Christian regime. It might be that humans are just flawed, and every system they build is going to be kind of crappy, whether their moral system is or is not. We are also shown that objective morality can't exist because there are people who don't have a sense of morality, or one that goes completely in the opposite direction from us. I don't want to pull out the gotcha questions, but if God imbued us all with objective morality, how do you justify the existence of psychopaths and sociopaths?
So yeah, that's thing number 2. And thing number 3 is similar. It also has to do with the environment, but it's basically why should we care about anything that's not, directly related to our own pleasure. Basically, why should we care about whether humanity will flourish 100 years from now, or 1,000 years from now? like, why should we care about the, like, survival of the human species? I was watching the movie Interstellar, which is a great movie, by the way. It's about, like, the Earth's climate collapsing and needing to find another planet for people to live on. It's a fiction. It's science fiction. I don't take it as, like, a documentary of what's going to actually happen. But it's a good question. It's like about the survival of the human species.
Interstellar is actually not far off. Not the 50-foot wave or the modular domino robots or the fifth dimension alien ghost, but the climate effects are all based on actual projections by climate scientists who indisputably know what they're doing. To put it in religious terms, a second fall is coming, and our Eden will soon be dust.
If you're an atheist, there's no reason to care about the survival of anything, really, if everything's going to die eventually. Because, according to the laws of physics, according to the second law of thermodynamics specifically, there's what's called the inevitable heat death of the universe. That means that eventually it's inevitable that everything will die. It's called entropy, for example. Everything dies eventually. So, if you're an atheist and you don't believe that Jesus is coming back to restore all things, then really the survival of humanity is just delaying the inevitable.
Ah, entropy! Viewers of my Technoblade video will know how much I love and barely understand this concept. There's actually a certain comfort in a meaningless universe. Just because everything will end doesn't mean everything we do is worthless. Again, in a world with no meaning, the things that matter most are the things that we choose. Many atheists practice a form of hedonism, but the evolutionary existence of the collective unconscious pumps more sad chemicals into our brain if we don't care about society as a whole, as a unit. We need to fight for the future because we're the only people that can, and I honestly find it telling that the people who believe that everything we have is a divine gift are ignoring and redirecting the problem of that very divine gift being soiled. Not to say that RZ is, but I would like him to show his latest act of environmental activism to the jury for review. Mine was picking up trash on the beach next to our lake a couple weeks ago. I think that's a bit more productive than trying to convince atheists why we shouldn't care about the world and our descendants.
It's more like a broader question of why does anything matter at all? And that's a dark question that most atheists try to drown out. What I mean by that is, it's sort of the whole existentialist mindset. I took a class in high school on existential literature, which basically assumes that there's no objective meaning in life, so you just have to be like Nietzsche, be like an Ubermensch, and try to make meaning out of life. But all it really is trying to squeeze as much pleasure out of life before it runs out and you face oblivion for eternity. So the questions that no atheists really want to confront is that nothing, and I mean nothing, actually matters if it'll all disappear anyway. There's no good or evil. There's no real purpose for doing anything.
Everything's finite, save for human desire, as I learned in my economics class, and I acknowledge that. I think that saying atheists are trying to hide from the question is unfair. Every religion, and I took an anthropology class this semester, so you know I mean business, is built around two things. How did we get here, and where will we go? Many also have what should we do, but that's less relevant here. Every spiritual system has myths about where humanity came from, and it's usually created by a god. Most of the rest of religious myth is about the post-death experience, the afterlife, and what happens in it. I would argue that, and this is me being rhetorical for the sake of it, only because RZ did it first, creating an entire sky voice and system of surrounding lore just to justify how we'll continue to exist after this is over is hiding from the problem far more than many atheists, who at least acknowledge the existence of entropy during their pursuit of meaning.
There's no point in creating anything if it's just going to be destroyed. Like, for example, I love creating things in Minecraft. I would not create a Minecraft world if I knew it was going to be deleted in a day. I would not create a Minecraft world if I knew it would be deleted in 7 days. So for atheists, why bother creating anything if everything's going to be destroyed?
Sorry, your timescales are off. You say that if your Minecraft world was deleted in a day or a week, you wouldn't do anything about it, but that fails to take into account the absolutely astronomical timescales of the universe. Eventually, your Minecraft world will be gone. Mojang will go out of business, or you'll play Minecraft for the last time at one point, or maybe you'll just get a new computer and your save will be gone. I don't mean to beg the question, but to rephrase your same question, answer me this, Mr. RZ. Why do you work on your Minecraft world when you know it won't exist in a matter of decades? Also, I wanted to prove a point in an extra dickish way, so I just wanted to load this up for a sec and show y'all. This is the speed build that I built in the background of this video. It's a concept for a cult base in my hit story-based Minecraft SMP series, The Realm of Realms. And yeah, I just spent like 10-15 minutes on it. You saw a time-lapse of it as background footage in the beginning of this video, and I think it's pretty cool. For my next trick, yeah, so that's gone. There was no reason to do this, but I thought it would help drive my point home in a funny way.
To try and drown out these dark, nagging questions. Does anything matter? It, like, you see, like, all this, like, TikTok and all this porn that we see in society.
I genuinely laughed out loud when RZ mentioned TikTok and corn in the same breath. That is pure gold. And while I do think many people do use these to paper over the real issues, I try to acknowledge these things as much as I can. I know oblivion is coming, and I embrace it. I just spend the time I have remaining in the best way possible, making response videos to Christians on the internet. I'm going to die alone. Hey everybody, popping in for a quick outro here. Just wanted to reiterate that everything here is intended to be respectful, and the stuff that's not is intended to be comedic. If I made any logical fallacies, which I probably did because it's impossible to fully extricate pathos from any type of debate, I apologize. I have a friend, IRL, with very similar mannerisms to RZ, and apologetics is something I find incredibly, incredibly interesting. No hate to RZ, and I'd join his Christian Minecraft server any day, as long as I could still construct upside-down T's. Goodbye, beautiful people.